Chapter 6. But he's no angel either. I'm too proud, too ashamed, and too naive to whisper this truth, so I stay. Where people wonder how this can be, the answer is simple. Love. Love keeps hope alive. The love he shows makes the impossible situation of staying with him seem possible. Turning point. Tommy receives a call from his mates in Mosgiel, a small town just out of Dunedin, to say his best friend, Jackson, has committed suicide. He hangs himself after his girlfriend breaks up with him, choosing another guy over him. An upset Tommy attends the funeral at his old stomping grounds. He attended school down there and some of his best friends still live there. He's only recently moved to Christchurch, so it's one big reunion for him. It seems he's forgotten about his pregnant girlfriend at home. He goes on a bender, not responding to my texts or phone calls. I'm a mess, crying more than I've ever done in my life. He turns up almost a fortnight later, but this becomes a sign of his new normal. Tommy disappears for days on end. I've got no idea where he goes. One night he rings from outside Washington Skate Park to ask me to pick him up. I do. A terrible sight is in store for me. His eyes are swollen shut from what appears to be a hiding. He's so badly covered in bruises that I can barely recognise him. What the hell happened, Tommy? I ask, bursting into tears as I cup his face with one hand, gently stroking his cheek with the back of my hand. Don't worry about it, he says softly, pushing away my hands, trying to hide that his eyes are welling up. Can we just go home, he asks, not wanting to say a word or ever wanting to speak of it again. I imagine it's either to do with drugs or someone getting back at him for some stupid decision he's made this time. I want to question him, but how he looks is shocking, so I shut my mouth. He has many enemies. It's something he uses repeatedly against me. The thought that his enemies may recognise me when I'm with him is scary. It's so nerve-wracking. I'm starting to fear stepping outside my home. I'm fearful of streets, cars, and their occupants. It hurts when Tommy doesn't answer my calls or respond to texts. The missed calls become another tool for controlling me and how I react. When missed messages accumulate, he eventually calls or texts. What the F is wrong with you? What the hell do you want, woman? Here I am, thinking that's what a reasonable human does for another, especially when she doesn't hear from him for several days. Why do you have to ring me that many times? Effing ridiculous. What the actual F? Leave me alone, you crazy beep, he texts. It reaches a point where I don't even know if he's ever coming back. Despite my pregnancy, it doesn't occur to me that I'm about to bring a child into this mess. My life's a complete disaster and all I can think of is what's right in front of me. It's a case of trying to survive each day. No white picket fences here or supportive husband-to-be. Thoughts are swirling in my mind like how I can explain his absence to people. I can tell them he's away for work, but then I'll be lying, and I don't want to have to hide my reality. How will I explain his absence once the baby arrives? Perhaps I can say it's not as bad as they think. Dwelling on a lonely existence, I tell myself this is how it is, so just deal with it. I'm broke. Tommy's drug addiction is leaving him high and me low. I swear we're going to be better off, babe, he promises. I know better. He's still yelling and taking everything out on me. With the pregnancy, I'm hopeful the bad times will end, but I'm dreaming. Instead, on many nights, I'm driving around Tommy to hook up his next deal. He's organising yet another ounce, but all I want to be is to be at home, like other mature people. But this is Tommy's normal. Why would he change it for me? Or his baby growing inside me? Hey, why would he change anything for me? My epic mistake is thinking I can help him change. Instead, my kindness, empathy, and love for him gradually go up in flames. My pushing, demands, questions, as well as needs and wants send him spiraling deeper into darkness. They send me even further, beyond the point of knowing my own worth. I lose my sense of value during the never-ending pursuit to change something that isn't mine to change. I put my happiness in the hands of someone who chooses not to care for it. Instead of just throwing it away, he abuses it. What I can't see is a clear distinction between an individual and their addiction. The drugs are one thing and the person you know is totally another. Grieving for the person I used to know isn't bringing him back, especially when he's battling addiction. I can't see the drugs have become a coping mechanism for Tommy. Without them, he may as well not be here. Rehab isn't an option for him right now. No way is he going to even consider it. Tommy isn't coping with what life's throwing at him, but I believe drugs are helping him cope to a certain degree. It's not a positive thing, but it does mean that until he learns to regulate his emotions to deal with painful events, his coping mechanism is to distance himself from reality. I'm part of his reality though, which makes it hard to watch or discard in the too hard basket. Wanting to be free, he's struggling to settle down. Out drinking with his mates, drinking at all hours, he becomes aggressive towards me. His drug dealing isn't making the money he's promising. The rubber's hitting the road. Although he tries to find part-time jobs, he can't keep them for very long. The idea of providing for a baby on the way and keeping up his kingpin persona are starting to weigh him down. Our cupboards are never full. As soon as food shopping is done, the cupboards are bare within a few days. He wants to live as though he's earning lots of money, making people think he's a baller, but it's becoming obvious to others that isn't the case. I'm not sure if ADHD makes it harder for him to deal with significant events, but after watching his reactions and the ensuing spiral from the loss of his best friend, it can't have helped. Life events and trauma are almost impossible to manage without the right skills. Trauma combined with a lack of emotional regulation can lead people like Tommy to prison. This leaves me of the view that prisoner reintegration should focus on increasing regulation and mindset skills. This could support people so that time served allows for coping with life in a way that doesn't involve choosing drugs and a life sentence of repeating the cycle. Desperate to see Tommy make better choices slowly destroys my hope of any future with him. It gradually breaks down whatever hope I have left in proving his haters, as well as my friends and family, wrong. He doesn't want a full-time job. With me as his moneymaker, he's free to do whatever he likes with his time. Tommy steals bacon from a supermarket to go with eggs, laughing about how easy it is. Reckless about spending whatever little money I've got left, he isn't worried about preparing for the baby's arrival. Things like a car seat or pram are low on his priority list. It's far too late when I realise his choices are about him, not us. Every argument leaves him with bleeding knuckles or storming off, and me cowering in fear. I'm caught up in the crossfire of a battle that isn't mine, never mind winning it. Tommy chooses to place my heart on the palm of his hand and crushing it, smashing any hopes I have for him to change. I'm losing sight of the good in him, like cooking for me, speaking to me with affection, or running a hot bath. Instead of seeing those glimmers of hope, I'm tumbling down a dark hole of despair. I feel like I've got no option but to give up. What's the point in fighting anyway? In a bid to change the vibe in a room, Tommy makes me laugh, especially when he hurts me or makes me cry. "You know you love me," he says with a laugh, trying to make me smile. His ability to light up the room never fades, but after my eyes are red and my smile fades, the laughter's never the same. It's hard to be happy with a disrespectful Tommy shoves me or snaps at me with a effing move. Someone's at the door. Usually it's over nothing. Still, I hold back. I've packed his bags and thrown them out on the front lawn so many times, but he doesn't care. He goes off to drink with his friends, taunting me with pictures of girls swooning around him and his boys. I want to escape from the hold Tommy has over me, but I don't know how. My love isn't completely blind, but I'm afraid of the unknown. I can't bear the thought of how bad my life will be without him, so I stay. I need to test my imagination to consider for a moment that my life can be better without him, but I don't. If only I can envision happiness on the other side of the decision to leave this mess. But in all of the confusion and pain, all I see is an outcome that grips me by my throat. Life without Tommy will be awful. His constant reminders that I'll never find anyone else or anyone better than him fuels my fears. So I stay. Looking back now, I could have saved myself but didn't back myself to do it. I had the strength but couldn't feel it. I knew what I wanted, but no matter what I did, I couldn't break out of Tommy's control. I wanted a better man, but I couldn't see that I had any other options during my pregnancy. Deathly afraid of speaking to anyone about it, I saw no way out of this life. How could anyone have possibly understood that I had to have treatment for an STD during pregnancy, and in the same breath trying to convince everyone, including myself, that he was a good person? Tommy was and is a good person, but he has gone through trauma himself. He's made bad choices and experienced injustice as well. On the couch one night, he tells me not being treated as capable or normal at school has left him with a disdain for people in positions of authority. He recounts stories of becoming caught up in gang life where he was beaten every day to toughen him up. The gang mentality has left him with this idea that he can take a beating. He should wear it like a badge of honour. But he's no angel either. I'm too proud, too ashamed, and too naive to whisper this truth. So I stay. Where people wonder how this can be, the answer is simple. Love. Love keeps hope alive. I feel how much he cares for me with hugs and the soft kisses he plants on my forehead. The love he shows makes the impossible situation of staying with him seem possible. Through all the doubt, anger, fear, and disappointment, one tiny bit of love works like a band-aid. The problem with a band-aid of love, though, is that it eventually comes off. When that happens, it can't hide the scars. That is, scars on scars create deeper hurt. When the pain goes deeper and the cuts keep coming, the body's reflex switches to fight or flight mode. I do neither, not even trying now. I just shut down. 7 months into my pregnancy, I'm very tired and struggling to cope. It's so bad I'm shutting down on the inside. Making the 25-minute walk to my car after work one day, I go past a petrol station selling ice cream for $2.80, but I have no money. Drugs are in the boot of my car though, because Tommy insists they're safer in there. Yet I can't afford $2.80 for an ice cream. Tears stream down my cheeks as I realise how much of a mess I'm in. I'm trapped. I really want to call Mum to share my problems, but I can't. A few years earlier we had a falling out over an argument she'd had with Tristan about gardening of all things. That had ended with her kicking me out of her home, so we've yet to patch up our differences. With nowhere to turn, I let my pride get in the way. Tommy's behaviour is more out of control now. One night I dragged myself out of bed, tired and grumpy, to pick him up for the first time from the police cells in town. "You look like you should be in bed, love," says the officer in charge, after looking me up and down and before stopping at the baby bump. As soon as I say the last name to see where he is, the officer looks up quickly from his paper, jaw dropping. This response becomes the norm any time I refer to Tommy as my partner to someone new. "What's someone like you doing with this dropkick?" The police must have me on their file, along with my occupation. Tommy lists me as his contact person, which is why they've called me at this ungodly hour to be his taxi. Tell me about it. He's on thin ice," I reply, making light of the matter, not long after the long and short hands struck midnight on the wall clock at the police station. We all laugh. On the way home, Tommy tells me of the injustice of the police arresting and bashing him up with a phone book, just because he was in a fight with a guy at a bar. All said and done, I still believe I can help Tommy. No matter how many times I hurl out his personal belongings, Tommy laughs. Believe it or not, I crack up too. "I've effing had enough of you," I say, hands on hips. "Just take your stuff and go to your mate's place. You're never here anyway." "Oh, come on, babe," he pleads, pulling funny faces and gently placing his hand on my bump. "Oh, my boy's kicking like Stacey Jones, man. Have you had your kai for two? My son needs a feed." He winks at me, giving me permission to eat in his cheeky way, pointing to the kitchen. How can you not laugh at that, especially if you're in my state? Our friends laugh too when he recounts this episode to show I'm just Play-Doh in his hands. "Where the hell have you been?" I grill Tommy late one night, walking after him down the hallway towards the bedroom where he's heading. "I'm not telling you anything." "I'm worried, Tommy. Up all night at home, alone, wondering if you're in the S again. Why won't you tell me?" "Don't. Just effing don't right now. I need a session. Just shut the F up and get out of my face. Unless you want a black eye, F off." I know better, leaving the bedroom via the hallway for the lounge. I stop, standing at the spot where he had proposed to me. He charges in there, following close behind, His eyebrows screwed up reinforces the blowtorch in his eyes. Shoulders hunched, I tense up as I watch him from the corner of my eye, feeling his fury. He grabs me, shoving my body to the floor with such force that I land with a thud on my back. Heart skipping a few beats, I instinctively curl into a ball, wrapping my arms around my hapu or pregnant belly. "Oh my God, please forgive me, babe," he says, dropping to his knees, tears welling up in his eyes. "Babe, swear I didn't mean to. Are you okay?" he asks, voice softening and breaking. "Just got so angry with you coming at me." He cuddles me, resting his head on my belly. I lay still, saying nothing but simply looking at him, unable to hide the fear in my eyes. That only fuels his emotions, his words tangling up in his sobbing. "I'll do better, I swear. It's not me." He eventually convinces me to rest in the bedroom, propping me up with my pillow. He makes a warm Milo. Planting a kiss on my forehead, he wipes the tears from my cheeks. I tell him I want to leave, but even after risking injury to my unborn child, I stay. The next morning, I wake up early to call his mum for some advice. "Hey Margaret, just wanted to ring because I've got a bit of an issue. Tommy pushed me on the ground last night and I don't know what I'll do if he does it again." "We've all got stuff to deal with, Lisa. I can't tell you what to do, just deal with it." This is the first time I've been able to reach out for help and she shuts me down cold. Feeling defeated, I wonder if I'm overreacting like Tommy's always claiming. A few days later, he hosts a party for 20 or so people at our place when a friend of his turns up from Dunedin. 8 months into my pregnancy, I battle with the stench in my kitchen sink after Mikey throws up in it. If that's not enough, he wakes me up from a rare deep sleep with a 2 a.m. shower, singing wildly with only a wall between us. "How the hell am I meant to sleep with that carry-on, Tommy?" "Oh, settle down, Mum," replies the master of manipulation. "I haven't seen Mikey for ages. Be nice." "Well, I'm exhausted." "You're always tired and grumpy. Come on, admit it." That's his standard response. I've even lost my right to be upset about anything in his eyes. I'm sure as hell tired of Tommy's behaviour and how he joins his drunken, drugged-up friends to trash my house. Kirsty, our flatmate of 6 weeks, invites her 16-year-old younger sister Danny to stay over for the night. Tommy thinks it'll be good for me to have a chick in the house to hang out with, but the drinking escalates with her there. I end up feeling like the third wheel in their late nights. Kirsty drinks and smokes weed, exactly the type of person Tommy loves to chill out with. They went to high school together and she's working at the Subway joint down the road, so our house is an ideal flatting spot for her. Tommy asked to sleep with me last night, Danny alleges the next morning as my jaw drops. "Tell her the whole story," says Kirsty. I kept saying no, no, and he just kept coming close to me. I was scared, so I just let him do what he wanted. "What the F? Are you serious?" I asked, looking at them both and feeling sick to the pit of my stomach. "Sorry, girl," says Kirsty. "Danny's young, but she'd never lie about something like this." Danny later changes her story, but the damage is done. Tommy denies it black and blue. I can't help but think he's threatened Danny to change her story. I've got no control over what's happening in my life anymore. Margaret won't help me, so my desperation drives me to Mum. I know she dislikes Tommy already, so I must drop my pride to accept that she has valid concerns for me. It's painful going to her for help, especially after feeling like I couldn't trust her. "Come in," says Mum with a smile, still tying a knot on her pink bathrobe before opening the door to my knock just before 6 o'clock in the morning. "Are you okay? What's happened?" Her worried look doesn't surprise me. I look like crap. My hair's a mess and I haven't slept much for days, let alone last night. A 9 to 5 professional, I'm a shambles with everything outside of that. So the answer's a no-brainer. "No," I reply, my voice breaking up before I start crying. "It's turned to crap. I just need to know I'm not overreacting here." It annoys me a little that she must have surely worked out everything's not okay with me. "What's he done?" she demands, assuming Tommy's done something horrific. "I knew he was bad news. You need to get out of there. Move in here if you need to." Saucer-like eyes bulging out of their sockets and lips pursed, Mum milks the hang time for my response. "Calm down, Lisa," I tell myself. Living with Mum again after the last time isn't an option. "He should have a job. He's not thinking about anyone but himself and you've got a baby to think about now, Lisa," she says, spouting off reasons to leave that I don't even need to hear. For the record, Tommy's still at home, unaware I've gone out. That's exactly what worries me with a month to go before I'm expecting my baby. I can't handle it anymore, I say, burying my head in my hands. Do you want a hot drink? Have you eaten? Milo, please. No food. Can't keep anything down at the moment. I can't help but go on the defensive with all the blows she's raining on Tommy. I still love him after all of this. Despite Mum's pleas for me to leave, I stay with him. My love for Tommy's clouding my judgment. I must protect him and our relationship, especially from those who say negative things about him. He's my total focus now to keep this turbulent relationship alive for the sake of my unborn baby and any hopes we have of becoming a family. A few weeks before my maternity leave kicks in, I have a baby shower at home. My work colleagues and a few friends come over. Tommy's manning the barbecue with Rawiri and Kirsty. By early afternoon, he's getting rowdy with his friends and my flatmates, wanting the baby stuff to be over so he can start hitting the piss like there's no tomorrow. I take this rare moment to make myself the priority, letting those around me love me. They make me feel so special amid all the chaos lately. You're going to be such a great mum, Lisa, says Steph, her eyes emitting an everlasting glow of warmth. My guests shower me with gifts. Their kindness is going to spoil my wee boy. Taking maternity leave, I finish on a Friday, 2.5 weeks before I'm due on August 12, 2009. 2 days later, my waters break at 10 o'clock as I'm lying in bed at home. I go into labour. Tommy, who's next to me, immediately suggests I ring my midwife, Dawn. We decide to go to hospital the next morning because Dawn reckons my contractions aren't a concern. Go to sleep, Lisa, she advises. Call me in the morning. I ring the next day, early Monday morning. She tells me to meet her at the Christchurch Women's Hospital at 10 a.m. Tommy drives us there in my car. At the hospital, the nurses check me every few hours for dilation, but by 5 o'clock, nothing much has happened. Not ready to bring this baby into the world, my sense of calmness is causing the pain and contractions to emit the wrong signals to my body. Patience pushed to the limit, the nurses decide to induce me at 6 o'clock because the 24-hour mark is looming since my waters broke. That speeds everything up. The icy cold feeling of the drug going through the needle into a vein in my hand makes me flinch. My nerves are rattled, but I put my faith in the trained hospital staff crowding around me. From manageable contractions, I go into full-on labour within 15 minutes. Tommy brings Kirsty and a new flatmate, Todd, into the delivery room, despite me making it very clear beforehand that I didn't want anyone coming in while I'm in labour. Just smashed a Big Mac combo, says Tommy, sitting down beside me as I'm laying on my back, knees up on a hospital bed. Kirsty and Todd walk past, seemingly oblivious to the fact that I'm in the middle of labour with a bedsheet barely covering my spread legs. Fortunately, the trio leaves soon after chatting among themselves like they're at the pub. Tommy's mum, Margaret, looking stressed out because this is her first grandchild, is there for the last few hours of labour. At one point, she looks at me and slides down the wall opposite me like she's fainting. Tommy letting in his friends just makes me furious. The cheek. That wasn't what I'd had in mind for my birthing experience. I'd envisioned a calm and relaxed Tommy and his mum, even if I was stressed. It's the other way around, with a few random people thrown in for good measure. 4 full labour hours later, I hear a short squawk from my beautiful baby boy Dakota at precisely 10:15 p.m. on July 27th, 2009. I picked the name after flipping through multiple baby books and hundreds of names, wanting something unique. It's the name of the North American Indian tribe of the northern Mississippi Valley and its surrounding plains. The native meaning is friend or ally. A nurse gently places my wee prem 6 pounds 7 or 2.92 kilos baby on my chest. My entire world stops at that very moment as I admire my precious gem. All the things that have been happening around me don't matter right now. Looking down, my eyes lock with his deep, dark pools of blue. We stare at each other for what feels like an eternity. Wow, that's my mum, his eyes seem to say, gazing back at me with an assurance only an infant can have with its life source. Holy crap, it's a real mini person, I think. Until then, it didn't feel real. He's only got a few wisps of golden blonde hair. Maybe he'll have strawberry blonde hair like I did when I was young, I think. He's got my nose and my wee cheekbones. He's so peaceful and calm, he isn't making another sound. He seems to know he's safe as he relaxes into my arms for some skin-on-skin contact and his first feed. You'll have to hurry with the shower because we need the room for the next birth, a nurse informs me, smiling after taking note of my expression of shock. You've got an hour. Tommy's just going with the flow, helping me to shower because I feel like I'm going to faint. The pool of blood, mixing with water around my legs in the shower box, demands my attention. Oh, that's from me, I think to myself. Tommy drives me to a birthing unit about 30 minutes out from the hospital, where baby and I stay overnight. I'm winging my way through this. Someone at antenatal classes emphasises the need to feed newborn babies regularly. Dakota receives his quota from me every 3 to 4 hours like clockwork. He doesn't even have to squeak. My shaky nerves rob me of sleep, but I don't care. Is my baby hungry? Is he breathing? Did you feed your baby last night? A nurse asks me the next morning. We didn't see you do it. Yes, of course I did, I counter. Every 4 hours. A mum less than 24 hours, I'm already feeling like others are doubting me. The mama bear's rising in me. I just want to leave now, despite wanting to stay another night to try to get some sleep. Come on, we need to get out of here, babe, Tommy insists. This is crap. You two will have me at home. The nurse's accusations make me feel so awful that the thought of going home to Tommy and the chaos seems like a better option. In the first few days, my friends make it a point to visit me at home, which I'm very, very grateful for. I sense some of them, who are aware of my rocky life, are checking on me more than the baby. End of chapter 6.